So the much anticipated Guda Guda event is going to be coming out the day after this video drops. It should be dropping after the maintenance that we get tonight. And so I'm going to be dropping my event guide for you guys. So that way you guys are prepared for this event, because this event, it's not like annoying or anything, but there are things that you don't want to miss. In particular, you don't want to miss the raids, and you want to make sure you get like the free-to-play CE. You want to make sure you get the free-to-play, free-to-play servant, quote-unquote. We'll talk about that later, but before we begin, make sure you leave a like on the video and that you subscribe to the channel for that sweet, sweet daily FGO content. And man, if you're ever like, I just can't get enough of this ZTL guy, well, I have good news for you. I stream every weekday over on my Twitch, usually starting at around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is going to be linked down in the description down below. With all that being said, let's go ahead and start off by talking about the event damage bonus servants. And man, if you got yourself Space Ishtar, you're actually eating for this event, because she does have a 30% special damage mod for the event, meaning that farming with her is going to be even easier than usual. However, aside from that, there's not a whole lot of really strong servants that are getting a damage mod. Emiya does have one if you're doing any art setups, but again, you're probably just going to default to Space Ishtar over here, but he can be really good if, you know, you don't have Space Ishtar, and you can maybe make some use out of him, because despite him maybe being neutral on certain nodes, the fact that he's going to have a 50% basically special damage bonus is going to allow him to farm a lot easier as well. But, you know, then it's kind of like, I mean, Cha-Cha's not bad if you've got her and you need like a more limited party. Basically, you pop Cha-Cha's NP refund skill, and by the time you reach the third node, as long as you started off with a CE that gave you start of charge, she could go ahead and like pop off and take out the third wave, and she should be able to do that as a free-to-play NP5 in this 50% special damage mod. Medusa, I mean, everybody's got her. I mean, you should have her. She's got like a 20% battery, so if you got like scope or something, you can make use of her that way. I mean, you're kind of grasping at straws here. Not a whole lot of like the main primo servants are getting damage mod. I think that's because, you know, it's basically all the Guda Guda servants. You can kind of fudge some things together. I mean, Chen Gong, if you want to do any farming with him, is going to be pretty good for this event. If you're doing just like big Ooga Booga Buster farming, you got people like Gilgamesh that are ready to go. But like that's literally if you just got nothing else to do. Like if you're like me, you're probably just gonna farm with like Musashi again as per usual, and just not really change up anything. But if you guys are curious, those are the event damage bonus servants, right? Not like the strongest and the most crazy lineup, but you can make some things work with this, right? Obviously, we want to keep in mind that we got Saito and stuff in the back, because there's a particular free quest that he might be really good for if you can give him like a scope or something. He might be really, really good for that. But next, we have some of our free-to-play stuff. The Miss Majin command code is extremely good, basically just giving a decent crit damage buff and decent star weight to that engraved card, not restricted to being, you know, Buster, Arts, or Quick like some of the other ones. Not quite as strong as some of the other crit damage command codes that we've gotten, but still, the fact that it gives you just really good star absorption and that just bonus crit damage makes this a really, really nice command code to put onto any one of your crit damaging servants. This one is a really good buff for all of your Nobu servants, basically, because pretty much all of them at this point could give themselves Burning Battlefield. Just really nice. Slap it on your Mao Nobu's Buster card, your Berserker Nobu's Buster card, and they'll be doing 25% more damage, which is a pretty nice just passive buff that they'll be able to pick up there. Same thing for this one over here. Not nearly as strong because it's only 5% and it gives you 1 star, but hey, not the worst thing in the world. If you don't got better command codes, this can definitely be something good. Overall, these are all just generally really good applicable command codes that you can put on pretty much any of your DPSs, although this one you want to specifically use for any Nobus, because they'll be the only ones that can really consistently pull this one off. So let's go ahead and start talking about the raids, because the raids are pretty much the main thing for this event that a lot of people are going to be looking for. Now, as for when they're going to drop, they're going to drop a couple of days into the event. Once we have Act 7 available to us, that is when you'll see, boom, the raid quests are going to go ahead and open. And you want to make sure you hit the ground running on these, because we have quite a lot of these raids over here. Now, some of them give QP if that's what you're interested in. Some of the other ones give you eggs, which I believe are the right one. Yep, right here. Some of them have really, really good drops, and so you have to kind of balance and kind of find which one you want to go ahead and farm. Obviously, they also give event currency and things for building up your little country, because they also have like a Summer 1 aspect to it where you collect resources and you use them to build parts of like this map and whatever. But it also takes a little bit from the most recent summer event. It's very similar to that one because every couple of hours you could pick up buffs, right? Like, so after you build an area, you could, for instance, check back every like 8 hours and collect yourself some QP, stuff like that. It's really, really nice. Not as broken, I would say, as the new summer event, but this is still really, really nice, and it gives you an incentive to be checking up on your little kingdom, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But I'll just go through some of the rewards real quick and just show you guys what you guys can get. This one is going to be very good if you're very low on fangs. I know a lot of people are really hurting for those, especially me, after leveling up some cough cough particular servants that I pulled recently. This one, I don't think a lot of people are going to be hitting specifically for the materials. Maybe you're low on reactors, but this is going to be one of the ones that you farm if you need yourself some QP, because you do get a nice chunk of QP. If you're going specifically for that, by the way, if for whatever reason you didn't get enough QP from the lotto boxes, make sure you equip your Da Vinci CEs to actually maximize the QP you get from these. Do not forget to do that. I know that I forgot to do that during the Fate Apocrypha events when those would drop about like 1 million QP per run, and I don't know how much QP I missed out on, but it probably was a lot over the course of the event. Then we have this one. This one, again, probably going to be hitting it if you're going more so for the QP, because I don't know how many people are really hurting for lanterns or the blood tiers, but again, this is probably another one you're going to be going for QP. Maybe you have an easier time farming against sabers, or farming with sabers, than you do farming with lancers over here, right? And by the way, pretty much most of your servants will be able to kind of get these done, especially if you're using damage mod servants, right? If you're using anybody that you could find on the damage mod list, like especially like this one, for instance, Kagetora is on the damage buff, right? That's a free-to-play servant. As long as you played the last Guda Guda event, you should have this one in the bag. Same thing like if you got yourself Saber Hokusai. I know she's not on the damage list, but like that should be like a free-to-play servant that can at least get this done in like 1 to 2 shots, right? So like everybody should realistically be able to get this done with some of the more recent free-to-play servants we've gotten our hands on, and even more so if you're using people that are on this damage list over here. And again, kind of why Saito's a little broken for this in particular. This one is the one that gives eggs. I'm assuming this is the one that everybody's going to want to hit because I think everybody always needs eggs and everyone always seems to need steaks. This is definitely going to be a very popular one. I would maybe recommend like hitting this one first because I expect the Rider raid to fall pretty early on. This one, again, probably only going to be farming it for QP. Don't know too many people that are like low on gallstones and low on bullets, but hey, if you're one of those guys, you can go ahead and farm this one, or if you just need the QP and happen to also need bullets, this could be a really good one to farm. Keep in mind that different ones do give different amounts of QP though, so just keep that in mind as well. Then this one, again, you're getting like the bracelets. Not super great. I don't think, not in my opinion. This one doesn't even give the QP, which is a little weird. So you're kind of like sacrificing, I guess, assassin cookies for QP. But if you need QP, hit up this one, I suppose. Or rather than the last one. This one has ice. I know a lot of people need ice as well for like their Scotties, or if you're planning for like ruler Scotties, stuff like that in the future, you do want to go ahead and hit this one for the ice. And it's the Berserker one, so it's probably going to be the easiest one for a lot of maybe newer players to farm, because you can bring whatever servant you want and basically clap this up because there's Zergs, right? So then I want to talk about the event CE. The event CE here is actually really, really good. And the reason I actually brought up Hokusai earlier, despite her not being on here, was because I know that we have this damage CE over here. If you maximally break this, again, you could pretty much use whoever you want to clap up the raid. So what I might advise you to do is that if you know that you're probably going to be hurting for servants to use, like maybe you don't have a lot of servants on here that are already going to be packing a damage mod, maybe just really focus on getting this CE like max limit broken, because that's going to be really, really useful for the raids. Not only just for the 200% special damage bonus, but it also gives you a 50% starting charge, and it's going to be giving you some buster and crit damage right here. So maybe if you fail to kill with your NP, maybe the enemy's got 600k HP, you do 500k. If you do like a crit, or God forbid a buster crit, you're probably going to clap them up with the extra crit damage you get from the CE. So overall, it's going to be very good going forward as a good free-to-play CE. Unfortunately, it has split stats, because obviously we really want to have stats that are just leaning all the way into attack, because that extra 2k attack on a level 100 CE can be absolutely, you know, how do you say it? I'm trying to say, like, it could turn the game around. Like, it could turn the fight around. You guys know what I'm trying to say, right? I just completely lost my train of thought. But that's what I'm saying. It's a good one, despite it not having, you know, the 2,000 attack, all right? That's all I'm trying to say. I just completely lost my train of thought. But good CE, make sure you farm it. Nobukatsu is basically the free-to-play servant. Even if you're not going to use any Nobu servants, maybe you don't own any of them. Maybe you weren't playing the game when Archer Nobu was available. Maybe you just don't have Berserker Nobu, you don't have Mound Nobu. Still get this guy, because this guy is a limited free-to-play servant. As you guys can see up here, he's only available while the event is going on. And yeah, he is pretty much just dedicated to making all the other Nobu servants way better. I mean, he's basically like their own personal Merlin. Like, he's absolutely cracked for them. I mean, it's really lucky that all the Nobu servants happen to be busters, because that means this guy, they're just like, well, let's just make him Ooga Booga Buster support, and then he'll just be good for any Nobu servants we put out in the future. So make sure you get him, because also keep in mind when JP gives us the 7, or when NA catches up to JP's 7th anniversary, when we level up our servants, we get rewards. And even though he's a free-to-play servant and we don't get quartz for him, you still get, like, the pure prisms and everything, which is all really, really good. So make sure you get this guy to level him up. If he gets an interlude or something in the future, he can be really good for that, because that's also bonus quartz. Just level up all of your servants. Plus, he's a 1-star. How hard is it going to be for you to level up this guy? Then we have, this is a gacha CE. This is just one that I thought was interesting, because it's another one of these overcharged CEs. It's not as good as Demonic Bodhisattva, because Demonic Bodhisattva gives you 50 to 60% starting gauge, depending if it's maximum broken or not. But this is still a really good one. If you're going for Himiko, which I know a lot of you people are, if you do that and you do pull this, it might be fun to kind of play around with in like some maybe challenge quest settings. The fact that it does give you a quicken and arts buff, that's, you know, 10 to 15% is nice. And the fact that you don't have to maximally break it to like get the 2 stages, that's just something naturally that's there. This could be really fun to play around with, and I just kind of wanted to make sure people were aware of this gacha CE that's also going to be available for the event. But finally, let's go ahead and talk about the free quest farming, because the raids aren't all that is here for the event. And now I've kind of been looking at this, and as I was kind of like examining it and thinking like, okay, what am I going to do for farming? You know, for me, I'm like, this ain't going to be a thing but a chicken wing, right? I'm going to be able to handle this pretty easily. I'm going to have my Artoria clap up wave 1 and 3, and I'm going to have my boy Sigurd clap up, or not Sigurd, but Siegfried clap up wave 2. And you might be saying, hey, ZTL, Siegfried clap up a 180k enemy? How is he going to do that? Boom, look at that, buddy. It's a dragon, and it's a Lancer. So that means he, as a Saber, not only has the special damage mod against it, but also, boom, he's super effective on it. Now, I get that that's not super ideal for a lot of masters, because also I have a max scope, right? So that also really helps out when using Siegfried for stuff like this. But even if you've got, like, let's say you got Sigurd, right? Like maybe you have a Sigurd on your account and you have a normal scope, you could just append skill him and then have him just rip and tear into this guy right here. You can also maybe do some playing around with other AoE sabers trying to handle like wave 1 and wave 3, and then maybe like have like a situation where you're plug seating in like a Merlin, not a Merlin, but a Waver and a Reigns, because that's 50% total. Maybe you want to play around with like a Scotty. Basically, you could kind of do something where like somebody takes out wave 1, and if you had like a scope or something on them and they were at 100%, you could use both of your supports, like your Waver and your Scotty, for instance, and then completely refill them for this one. And whoever's clapping up wave 2 would get that 20% from that Waver, right? Like you can kind of do stuff like that if that gets the gears turning. I was gonna try to make like a team setup that'd be like, oh yeah, here's like the team setup that you guys want to do, but I feel like it really comes down to what you have in your box. I'm kind of just throwing out ideas, and I'm just like, just remember that this is a dragon. If you've got Siegfried, especially like higher NP copies, his damage against dragons, especially at NP5, is ridiculous. If you look at the boy over here, he's like at 100k. He's actually, funny enough, when I was looking at different sabers and was kind of like thinking of people that'd be really viable for this quest, he's like right under Sigurd for his damage. Like he's all the way down here normally, but as soon as there's a dragon, he literally is like only 25k behind Sigurd, which is ridiculous, because as you guys can see, this man hits really hard any single target. This guy's AoE, so I have no idea what's going on there. Siegfried is apparently just built different against dragons. But if you can't farm this, Don't worry, this is like the optimal node, right? Because it drops literally everything. But if you can't farm this, just farm the normal nodes over here. Just go to the normal things and farm these, right? These are going to be your normal ones. Everything else here is pretty normal. These are all just, as you can see, 333 nodes. After the lotto, I'm sure that they were like, okay, our players need kind of a break. Let's just give them normal nodes. I mean, and look how nice they are. None of these are even Berserker nodes, right? Look how nice they are. And if you guys don't know why that's nice, Berserkers give you the least amount of NP gain whenever you farm against them. Casters give you the most. So there's no casters, but there's also no Berserkers. So they're like trying to make it as easy as possible for you to kind of just farm a lot of these nodes. And in fact, a lot of them really aren't even that high, right? Like this is like a 130k enemy, that's 170k. It's really not that bad, especially, again, if you're rocking people with like damage mod. Maybe you've got an Emiya, he can absolutely clap like this one up, for instance, right? And he has the damage mod. Space Ishtar is going to clap all of these nodes up. Just very nice free quest farming, but this one I just thought was funny because I'm like, hey man, you got a Siegfried, you got a scope, you scope up that boy, he's going to destroy this dragon. But with all that being said, I'm pretty sure that's everything that I want to talk about for the event that's going to be coming up. Oh yeah, here's also your other servant list. Again, I kind of just already talked about how these are going to be used to kind of like build structures, and those structures are going to give you passive rewards as the event goes on. Feel free to reference this, or the game will actually show you all of your drop bonus servants as well whenever you toggle on to the event bonus, right? When you're on your team menu or whatever. So yeah, best of luck, everybody. This event's really not that bad. Really, the only stressful part, quote unquote, is going to be making sure that you get into the raids as soon as they open. And again, that's going to be whenever Act 7 is available. So just make sure you're on the ball with like the story. Just make sure you're always up to date. And so as soon as you clear Act 7, that's, you know, boom, start hitting those raids, right? Start putting those bronze apples back to use and start getting to farming, getting all those goodies and everything. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace. Late, guys.